Good evening, race fans, and welcome back to TRTM for tonight's coverage of VSR Phoenix Season 10 Round 8. As always, I am Regan Clark. You join us after the winter break back into the firm of it for another 5 rounds here in Season 10 of VSR Phoenix, and we come to you live from the Red Bull Ring. Opened as the Österreichring in 1969, later rebuilt as the A1 Ring in the late 1990s, and then sold to Dietrich Mateschitz in 2004, reopened in 2011 as the Red Bull Ring we know and love today. 10 turns and 2.6 miles of FIA Grade 1. We're going to see some of the fastest times out of this season in the range of the low 128. More to come up in the very soon to be discussed portion of qualifying. As we see around the grid here, one driver making their way out at the moment. One of the new drivers on today's grid, that's Nardo. But we'll see them a little later on when we get into the subject of qualifying today. Right off the bat, a lot of data to kick off with and not a lot of time to do so. Let's start with the preliminaries, though, and see where we are on the calendar. Only 5 more rounds, with today being the first among them. Round 8 of the championship. Then following on will be round 9 at Silverstone. Round 10 at Laguna Seca, the penultimate round, back to the 45-minute sprints that we're going to see later on today in Barcelona in round 11. And then the season finale coming up on February 4th. 1 hour of racing to be had in Mie Prefecture, Japan at the Suzuka International Racing Course. I do see, though, a lot of drivers holding short, and so I've been told there is some technical trouble with some of the timing systems with the server. So we will be back in just a moment's time. Do bear with. And after the technical issues have been cleared, we're happy to get back into qualifying now. 20 minutes against the clock. All hopes now that things are going swimmingly after recent technical faults just in the setup for the event. Today, we now get on board with White Doctor, one of several drivers onto the grid there for the start of qualifying. Getting a look into the data, starting things off as where we are on the calendar. And we find ourselves here in one of 5 rounds in the second half of the season after the winter break. We'll be here in the Red Bull Ring for 45 minutes of racing to follow after qualifying today. Then coming up to Silverstone at round 9, Laguna Seca at round 10, the penultimate round at Barcelona, another 45-minute race, and then the season finale at the Suzuka International Racing Course at round 12 of the championship. Following on board with White Doctor, getting a look at the balance of performance for this round of the championship, and we find that Aston Martin have lost a significant toll of weight, 23 kilos off of the V8 Vantage. That puts them 2 kilos up the road from the Lexus RCF. Ferrari losing 20 kilos and Nissan gaining a single kilo. Ford gaining 3 kilos, which is an incredibly rare sight. Ford normally on the short end of the stick. This time around, it's BMW with 20 kilos. McLaren find themselves only 4 kilos off of that metric with 16 kilos added. Taking a look at the qualifying predictions then, White Doctor predicted at pole position by quite some distance there. You can see the gap currently at about 228 thousandths of a second between himself and Tyler Vermack. But one new face on the grid, the Plums with Aston Martin, currently predicted at 3rd place, only off of Vermack by 25 thousandths of a second. Chris Davies predicted in 4th place ahead of Indian Goat in 5th, JDM Grizz in 6th with Otzi in 7th, Shawnee Mac in 8th, Funky Fish in 9th, and Wishful Winnings in 10th place. And you can see with the times, it is very close indeed. Some very tight gaps to be found throughout this qualifying session to come up. We can see that towards the back of the top 10, only about 75 thousandths of a second between the times of Funky Fish and Wishful Winnings. Taking a look then on board with White Doctor, who now leads this championship by 17 points. We'll get a look at the championship standings just after qualifying today, along with the news segment, before we get on to 45 minutes of racing. It's a wonderful time then to be back into the 10th season of VSR Phoenix. You'll note brand new logo in the top right hand side there for VSR, a recent rebrand, so we're not so sure whether or not it'll be called VSR Phoenix when you next see us on Wednesday for season 10 round 9 at Silverstone. Nonetheless, for White Doctor, expectations at an all-time high. You'll see a brand new coat of paint as well on that number 54 BMW. Now, we were told privately by an informant claiming to represent that of White Doctor, and the reasoning behind this brand new red and white paint scheme was, as a matter of fact, in remembrance to the recent events that transpired at the La Constellation Bar in Valais, Switzerland, that tragically claimed the lives of 40 people and injured 116. This is a way of him showing remembrance and respect to these tragic events running this livery for this run here at the Red Bull Ring. We see plenty of other drivers have also opted for brand new colour schemes, perhaps along the same reasoning. One driver we know for certain that is not the same reason for it is if we were to go over to look toward Ford's perspective. That's with, you can see their big green man with a new colour scheme, but more poignantly, if we go to find with the Mustang here of Tyler Vermaak, he's running the white and red colours, namely for the fact that despite competing under the flag of South Africa, Vermaak himself only lives a few hours away from the Red Bull Ring, having lived in Austria for quite some time, so representing Austria with this paint scheme on his run in towards Reims at turn 3. Moreover, we just had the recent run of times into the charts there. It puts White Doctor fastest ahead of Vermaak by 270 thousandths of a second. Indian Goat third with JDM Otzi in 4. Funky Fish back onto the grid there, 5th place, and the number 982 from behind him there. We can see one of the BMWs. I believe that to be at this time, that was VSR Dollar Up. Also see the 999, one of the new drivers on the grid, Nardo with Ford. Not Ford, sorry, with McLaren, and he was just superseded by the Ford of Eurofighter, otherwise Timo. Number 28 nearest to the line, Chris Davies with BMW on his way down through turns 9 and 10 here at the Red Bull Ring. Following on his trails, the number 159, another new driver on the field, Night Owl, competing with the Garage 59 McLaren. Across the line there, Davies third fastest. Night Owl following on his trails with their McLaren. And doesn't put a time in on the charts there. The number 40 from behind them. Does he put a time on the charts? Seemingly the same story here for HSR Gecko in the number 40 BMW M4 down through to turn 1 at Niki Lauda Curve. The 54 and the 89, that was White Doctor and Tyler Vermaak, and they continue to open the taps up here. Low 128, 150 by White Doctor, and the gap opens up just a little bit between himself and Vermaak, now up to 352 thousandths. Vermaak still the closest driver, though, by some way. We see Big Green Man now lodging at a time half a second clear of the fastest lap of this current qualifying session. 5 minutes in, and we've still only seen 9 cars of an 18-car grid, so we still have 50% unaccounted for. Number 6 coming to the line, that's Otzi in 6th place as he crosses the line there and stays in 6th. Number 982 coming to line, Funky Fish back onto the grid as well with BMW. Then the 999, that's Nardo. TTV Region asks, will you be commentating the F1 division in the future? Now, I've had a think about that one, as of course, those keen-eyed viewers for TRTM will remember that we started this whole chapter off back in the F1 games, the Codemasters F1 games. I think F1 2021 is where it all started, back in TRR's F1 Virtual Series, when we first got our grounds commentating for races. So I would definitely like to return to the avenue of open wheel racing, but it's a case of if there is the time and place for it on our schedule here. We've really managed to pack things out into the opening months of 2026 with GT3 and GT4 racing alike. Tyler Vermaak now 27 thousandths of a second away from White Doctor. It's looking to be very, very close at the front. Bear in mind, Vermaak now having recently lost the lead of the championship, now down to second, off by 17 points back to the lead by White Doctor. Over the double points round just before the winter break, the 2 hours of Kyle Army. The Plums now third fastest, and we've been waiting to see here the elusive Aston Martin onto the charts, third fastest as per predictions. You can see not too far off a shout of being up towards that front row, 0.3 of a second. He's 0.2 up the road from Big Green Man, so there is still a lot to be fought for inside of that top 5. We see Chris Davies most recently breaking in to the sub-second barrier, 710 thousandths of a second. Previous time to put him there was a 128.860. 504 across the line a moment ago. Eurofighter into 8th place. We see Otzi now pushed down a position. Elite Cassie into the session in the number 98 Emil Frey Racing Verstappen.com Ferrari. Now 7th fastest. We also see a new driver on the grid as well. We had the brief discussion there with drivers like HSR Gecko, with Nardo, with Night Owl. We also have RSX Ryan in the number 35 BMW. Most recent time just come out there for the number 40 HSR Gecko, one of the newcomers to the grid, now 6th fastest. Number 960 nearest to the line here on the next set of flying laps. That's for the Aston Martin of the Plums. We'll simply refer to as Plums for the duration of this broadcast. Down towards the line he goes, and up to fastest for the Aston Martin of Plums in the 960. What a sudden turnaround on what looked to be a two-horse race between Vermac and White Doctor has now been quickly usurped by this elusive Aston Martin. Now, we've seen good performances by Aston Martin in the past. White Doctor, of course, having competed by his real name, Carlos Deesh, in the XCL Pro Series, put on one hell of a show at the Red Bull Ring with Aston Martin in his time with 5-Star Esports. But now we see this seemingly unknown driver onto the field here, the number 960 of the Plums. No real name attached. Number 4 nearest to the line will catch on board here with JDM Shawnee Mac. Of course, the folks here at VSR still reeling from the victories they had in the Silverstone Interleague race they had between Race Club UK and Simplay Motorsports. That was a fantastic race, won outright by Cass van Veltzen, otherwise Elite Cassie on today's grid. In a very bizarre strategy in his Nissan, he took VSR to victory. Moreover, by cumulative points as well, VSR managed to outscore both Race Club UK and Simplay Motorsports to take that division win. It was a fantastic race for us to cover. Always good to be back in Silverstone, but it's even better today to be back at the Red Bull Ring. It's been a fantastic circuit. Every time we visited, it's given us great moment-to-moment action, fantastic battles, and all manner of chaos in qualifying. Today being absolutely no different. We see down towards turn 10 goes White Doctor, needs 38 thousandths of a second over Plums to take pole position back into his own hands. The 54 to the line. Can he do it? And seemingly, as it updates there, no dice for the 54. Just briefly back onto that discussion whilst we follow on board here with a few drivers from around the field. We just saw there with Tyler Vermac. We see Big Green Man down towards the line, still in 4th place after that last lap. Strikingly similar colour scheme between himself and Vermac there. Davies on his way down towards turn 10. Just to touch back onto the topic of if we'll commentate for the F1 division. If we're willing to, absolutely. That's no question at all. We've been wanting to get back into commentating for some F1 races for some time. It's a case of really, can it fit on the calendar? If there is the opportunity and it can be explored, it is something we're absolutely willing to do alongside VSR. We've already had very good standing with these folks, having worked with these fine folks for the last 3 seasons here, as well as working with them on special events such as the League v League v League race that we had at Silverstone just before the new year on December 28th. A little bit of trouble for Big Green Man there. Just on the exit of Schlossgold at turn 4. He's out through to Rauch at turn 6. Watching here with the 54. Is it second time's the charm for White Doctor? Down towards the line he goes. And still so close, yet so far away. It has got to be frustratingly close, the times there between those top 3. Aston Martin, BMW and Ford all going head to head here for that pole position here at round 8. It's been one very well done way to kick off the new year in VSR. Of course, first VSR race of 2026. So you see here with Oatsy 11th fastest. Currently 58 thousandths off of RSX Ryan, one of the newcomers to the grid. He's one of 3 newcomers to be inside of that top 10. We see RSX Ryan to the line here. Needed about half a second, just under half a second to find himself up to 9th place. That's currently coveted by the number 4 of JDM Shawnee Mac. We see here the 42 of Big Green Man chasing the 98. This is Elite Cassie with Ferrari. HSR Gecko is a curious one indeed. He's getting closer and closer to the chances of a top 5 by the end of this qualifying session. Currently finds himself only 0.07 of a second away from 6th place. That's by Indian Goat in the number 9 Ferrari. And then when you take a look a little further up, you'll find that it's really not too far off a shout. It's 180 thousandths of a second between himself and Chris Davies in the top 5. So a lot to be expected of these brand new drivers to the field. They've not disappointed so far. We've got 3 of them inside of the top 10, one of which leading by albeit a very thin margin, but one that even drivers like White Doctor, who took the championship in Season 8, seemingly cannot crack. Well, we're about to see if that's the case or otherwise. White Doctor down towards turn 9 and 10, I believe, coiling up for some more flying laps here. 7 minutes, 20 seconds left to go. Just to briefly bring back up here as we stay on board with the 54 down towards the line, the topic of those balance of performance statistics, BMW is going to be on the back foot against Aston Martin. Across the line he goes, onto another flying lap. We'll stay on board with the 54 as we continue that conversation. This is going to be a serious turning point for BMW in this race. Make or break for White Doctor. Bear in mind now, having recently overtaken the lead of the championship, he's got the opportunity to continue to open the gap up by the time we get in towards Silverstone and Laguna Seca in the rounds to follow in the next fortnight of racing. But they and Aston Martin, in at least today's session, find themselves on polar opposites. 20 kilos added to the M4 with 23 shed away from the vantage. Nearest to the line, the 504 we just saw for the 98. That was Elite Cassie, ran into trouble. He's back into the pit lane. The 504 crosses the line. Eurofighter stays 13th for the time being, only 2/10 away from 12th place. Nearest to the line, the 44, so we'll cut away here from White Doctor. We'll catch on with him towards the end of this flying lap. We see, though, with JDM Grizz on his way down towards turn 10. It was an admirable performance by the VSR Endurance team's many Nissans in that interleague race in Silverstone. We see by JDM Grizz here 15th after that last lap just gone. The number 159 coming to the line, and that's Night Owl with the Garage 59 McLaren. Across the line he goes, 16th. Next to 42 of Big Green Man. And up to fastest there. That's a real turning point for Big Green Man. Up to the fastest time. I don't think anyone saw that one coming. The 42 now up by 44 thousandths of a second. White Doctor across the line. Cannot believe his luck. He's in third place now. Down from second. And moreover, down from pole. In the closing 5 minutes, Big Green Man has really let loose the dogs of war on that 42 Mustang. Now 44 thousandths of a second clear of the Plums in second place. What we are seeing is an incredibly bizarre dichotomy going on inside of that top five. I suppose in this case it would be whatever the sort of word for quadrichotomy for manufacturers in all. Aston Martin, BMW. Oh, no, it's a trichotomy. Haha. See, Aston Martin, BMW, and Ford inside of that top five. It's definitely come as quite a shock as well when you consider this is the one time Ford has had the shackles broken off of them. Normally, they find themselves double figures for weight gain in balance of performance. Now, this time around, with only 3 kilos added on, a great weight has been lifted from the shoulders of the Blue Oval. And it has allowed, in this case, for Big Green Man, the Mustang to surge its way to the front of the pack. Down towards the line he goes, and he holds it short. Clearly not an improvement after that last lap just gone. Regent to the line. But as we see, as by tradition, by looks of it, in the next 4 minutes, it's unlikely Regent will put a time in. As you can see, out through Nicky Lauda curve, runs a little bit out wide, invalidating his flying lap. We already know the game he's trying to play. We'll see how well he plays it throughout round 8 today. Down towards the line goes JDM Shawnee Mac with Nissan. We just see in the chat there as well. Finally, watch a race that I'm not in. How are you today? We're doing very well, as a matter of fact. Well, coming down with a bit of the flu, bit of a cold, something of that variety. Make no mistake of it, something is going on upstairs, but we don't quite know what. You see here, most recently, Tyler Vermack, 4th fastest, 107 thousandths of a second. You can see it is incredibly close in that top 4. Now, it's naive to not consider the other drivers also within a second of that fastest time. We see HSR Gecko currently 7th. That's 7 drivers so far contained within a second of the fastest time. We see both Grizz and, by the looks of it there, Twiglet disqualified from qualifying. Meanwhile, it's looking to be a no-time set qualifying session for Regent. He's not going to be particularly happy because he always guns as it stands for the back of the field, and he wants to be right at the very back, and as of right now, he's actually gained 2 positions, not that he's particularly cheerful of it. Plums down towards turn 10. Can there be redemption for Aston Martin? They're shoved down a peg by White Doctor. Can they find anything in that last lap? Sadly, not the case for Plums. 2.5 minutes left to go. White Doctor now up to second by 12 thousandths of a second to pole. it could still be back in the bag here for the 54. Taking a look back through the last couple of race wins this season, we can see White Doctor is already back onto the winning streak. He's traded blows with Tyler Vermaak as far back as round 3 in Belgium. It has been held between these two for the last 5 rounds. Can it be any different today? The pattern would otherwise indicate that Vermaak could be on his chances for a victory today. Of course, all of this is just simply data on a sheet. What we're really waiting to see is when tyres hit the asphalt and what can really happen under the veil of motorsports. We saw most recently an improvement by Vermaak. He's on his way back out. He'll have, by looks of it here, just enough time to get one more time in, but it really will have to be the perfect lap here. He's 59 thousandths of a second from pole position. By taking a look there, he's only 15 thousandths of a second away from the Plums in 3rd place. Number 40 coming to the line. HSR Gecko. Still 7th place there. Tantalizingly close to an opportunity for 6th. Needs about 2/10 of a second. A little under 2/10. 54 coming to the line. Can it be pole for White Doctor in the penultimate lap here? It can be. And up by 1/10 of a second goes the 54. What is the rebuttal by the 42, the 960, the 89, and the 28? Oh, we just saw there. Davies across the line. Onto one more flying lap. 5th in the session so far. 420 across the line a moment ago. That was Regent. 42 coming to the line. Big Green Man held on to pole position. Can he find an improvement in that last lap? Sadly, not the case. We see for the Plums, he's up through Remus. Taking a look to where Vermaak's current position is. He's on his way out through Rauch. Out through turn 8 he goes. And this could be really the final draw. It has been like the Wild West out here in the Red Bull Ring, and it's the fastest hand who dare win. Right now, it looks to be White Doctor. We watch here with Big Green Man nearest in line to retake pole position, if that is something even possible at this point. We were looking at ranges in the low 128s on the predictions. That was some of the faster times we saw from White Doctor, but now he has been able to punch well above his own records with a 127.962. If that's not set the bar astronomically high, I'm not sure what will. HSR Gecko, newcomer to the field, coming to the line then on his last lap of qualifying. Across the line he goes and maintains 7th place. The number 28 nearest to the line, Chris Davies, on the exit of turn 8. In towards turn 9 and 10 we go. Down towards Red Bull Mobile. Down to the line goes Davies. Can it be up to 4th place here? Needs 6 whole tenths of a second. Sadly, couldn't find it that time around. Nearest to the line, Shawnee Mack on the exit of turn 10 slides his Nissan around. Will he make his way down towards the line? Yes, he will. You can see in the background there. I believe that is Regent having a spot above it in the pit lane entry. 42 calls it quits. Big Green Man simply can't match what has been laid on the table there by the 54. A great hustle by White Doctor. Crossed the line a moment ago. The number 9 Indian Goat maintains 6th place. So close to a chance there of 5th off of Chris Davies. Those two separated by 200ths of a second. Bear in mind, you still see out on track here Elite Cassie. We've seen him to have some great times in qualifying. Can it be last second redemption here for the Ferrari on the exit of turn 10? Trailing on his mitts there, the 89. That's Tyler Vermaak to the line. Cassie across 7th place there up the road from HSR Gecko right at the very end of qualifying here in round 8. What a way to kick off 2026 here in VSR. With a qualifying like that, plenty of twists and turns, but above all else, White Doctor on pole position. But this is going to be a very exciting grid to discuss. Taking a look at the championship standings before today's round, White Doctor with 390 points leads the charge now after Kyle Army by 17 points to Vermaak, now down to 2nd. Chris in 3rd with Grizz in 4th, Otzi in 5th. Those two separated by only 7 points. Blue Frog in 6th place on the grid. We see Elite Cassie on your screens at the moment is in 7th, only off his chances by about 8 points there to 6th place. VSR Antion in 8th place with 196 points. Regent in 9th with 188. Rounding out the top 10 then is Bully Boy, otherwise Mr. Bernie, with 187. A single point difference towards the back of that top 10. Taking a look at the news just before we get on to the topic of the grid today, and it's an exciting one. As taking a look into it, Toyota reveals their new hypercar for the 2026 World Endurance Championship, replacing the legacy left behind by the GR010, introduces the TR010, and it is a striking new appearance for Toyota, running the same colours as its fabled late 90s GT1 prototype. And it is going to be a fantastic season ahead for them. That is a mighty impressive looking machine. Of course, we saw it testing much earlier on in 2025. Everyone had it speculated perhaps this was going to be called the GR020 or the GR010 Evo, but no, completely new nameplate there, TR010, standing for Toyota Racing. This is also the second time now, actually third time if you count their Dakar endeavours, that Toyota has shifted their main colour over to red and white. We've just seen it recently in their World Rally Championship offering, the Yaris now being coloured in predominantly red and white coming into the 2026 World Rally Championship season. This is a big shift back to more traditional colours for Toyota, and we're all here for it here on TRTN. It is looking to be a very exciting season ahead for them. Looking onto the grid here on the first race of 2026 for VSR Phoenix, here in Season 10, Round 8, and it has been an incredible prelude to today's grid. That qualifying session was second to none, but second to no one to this day right now is White Doctor. Pole position for the Season 8 champion, looking to be another two-time champion on this grid, other than that of Chris Davies, who lines up 5th place. Big Green Man on a fantastic qualifying session, a brilliant way to start the year, puts himself in 2nd place. The Plums, a newcomer to the grid with Aston Martin, is in 3rd on debut. This could be one to watch as the season carries on, and do keep a close eye on this one if he is to carry on into Season 11 later on in 2026. Tyler Vermack in 4th place with Chris Davies in 5th, Indian Goat in 6th, with Elite Cassie in 7th place. HSR Gecko, another new driver on the grid, in 8th place. They line up alongside another new driver, RSX Ryan, in 9th. JDM Shawnee Mac marks the back of the top 10, with Funky Fish returning to the grid, making 11th not on debut, but on return, I should say, in the 982 BMW. Eurofighter, otherwise Timo, in 12th place, up the road from VSR Dollar Up in 13th. Another new driver, and another, actually, pair of new drivers in 14th and 15th there. Night Owl and Nardo, 14th and 15th, both racing with McLaren. In 16th place then, Regent, and he's going to be finding himself in a bit of an awkward spot. Normally, he prefers the back of the field to do these last to first kamikaze charges that we've known him for. He's been normally doing it alongside the Blue Frog. Today, he'll be flying solo, and as a matter of fact, up in 16th because it was disqualifications for Grizz and Twiglet, and a disconnect there for Otzi. Now putting those three at the back of the field, 17th, 18th, and 19th. Well, this is going to shape up to be an incredibly exciting event coming up here. 45 minutes of racing, no mandatory pit stop. It is going to be absolutely feral, white-knuckle racing from the word go here at the Red Bull Ring. Where better to return to this series than here at the Red Bull Ring? We've just got word there from Region. He has plans on how to start last. Now, perhaps I'm picking up what he's putting down here, because this could suggest potentially a pit lane start for Regent in the number 420. We're on board with White Doctor, sporting the red and white, of course, in commemoration to the recent tragic events that's transpired in Switzerland. Big Green Man lines up alongside him in the 42. This is a very compelling top 5 indeed. Two-time champion Chris Davies there in the top 5. Big Green Man, who's been a hopeful sign since towards the end of Season 8. We also see Tyler Vermack, who's been a consistent form throughout our coverage here of VSR Phoenix. I believe joined towards the end of Season 7, if memory serves correctly. We also see the Plums, a brand new driver to this field. And White Doctor, of course, who competed alongside Just Boris in Season 8 to a championship win. Taking a look then, as we have a look around the field at those previous champions, just to give you a brief synopsis as to how the last 9 seasons of competition here on VSR have been doing so far. Of course, the first ever season was won by VSR Pete in the number 77. Funky Fish, who returns to the grid, still a champion in his own respect, won in Season 2 way back when. VSR Chris took one of his 2 victories, otherwise Chris Davies on this grid. in Season 3 and Season 6. Fast Fanatical won in Season 4. ETE Giles in Season 5. Just Boris, of course, we were the first season we covered was Season 7, where in which we saw that championship charge by the 999 McLaren. Then White Doctor fought with him throughout Season 8 to his first championship, and in the Porsche Cup era of Season 9, gave Blue Frog his first ever championship here in VSR. May or may not have forgot fuel, says the number 420 of Regent, so that's going to be a bit of trouble for him. Of course, I believe from what he's been saying so far that that's actually intentional. So he's going to be coming into the pits early to grab fuel because it's one of the shorter ways to stop the car without just doing a drive-through. For White Doctor, he's got ample competition from the rear there. Things are going to be very, very curious to see on the way up through that chaotic opening sector. Niki Lauda curve super tight there in through turn 1. It's created many issues, even in the world of the Austrian Grand Prix that competes out of this circuit. And will be no different on today's grid. Now, we've seen action before. There was that huge wipeout a few seasons ago between Just Boris and I think it was Regent as well, in the opening sector here at the Red Bull Ring. One of the biggest wipeouts we've ever seen in our coverage of VSR Phoenix's operations since as far back as Season 7. Let's see how this one unfolds. Plenty of eyes then on that elusive Aston Martin up towards the front of the field then. The Plums competing in the 960. Certainly looking to impress here. His first ever drive in VSR Phoenix history. Let's see what he can do with the Aston Martin. Now, we've seen how capable Aston Martin has been in the past in this series. Let's see what they can shape up to do in today's race. Beginning the lineup process then. 19 cars on today's grid. The first VSR race of 2026. Making our way down through turn 10, down towards the line then. 45 minutes against the clock here. The final 5 races of the season are laying before us. Down towards the line then here for Season 10, Round 8 of VSR Phoenix, leading from the front, the 54 of White Doctor. Without further ado then, as we get down across the line, we are green and racing here in Spielberg. Down towards turn 1 we go then, almost immediately. A great start from the front row. We can see that good advance by Vermac right up to the back end of Big Green Man, but he covers off the inside. A little bit of door dinging there between the 960 and the 89. We see now slotting back into third place with the 89 right alongside him, running up through turn 2 on the run up towards turn 3. Vermac has the inside. Meanwhile, in the background, you can see Indian Goat side by side with Chris Davies on the run in towards turn 3 at Remus. We see getting up the inside there, a blind send, as you can see the 98 squeezes up the inside. That's Elite Cassie in the Emil Frey Racing Verstappen.com Ferrari, now alongside Chris Davies, who's trying to get the run back over Indian Goat. What an explosive start to the race indeed. Down towards Schlossgold at turn 4. We see Davies covering the inside. Elite Cassie looking to try and usurp him with a late apex. Can't find the space for it. In through Schlossgold. No contact there, but very, very close between Cassie and Gecko. We see looking up through Rauch, the 28 holds the inside there. A little bit of pressure from behind the 98, giving him grief. Meanwhile, the two newcomers go head-to-head. HSR Gecko and RSX Ryan going head-to-head in the twin BMWs. Gecko up front, Ryan out back. From Davies' point of view, he's got insurmountable amounts of pressure from Ferrari up in front and out back, with Indian Goat having taken that top 5 position right off of him, and now he stands to potentially lose 6th place off to Elite Cassie, who too has a great start to this race. It's White Doctor from Big Green Man, Tyler Vermac, and the number 960 of the Plums, now having dropped down to 4th place. We'll see though what the rebuttal is from the Aston Martin out through turn 1. Currently watching that battle for 3rd place. See side by side in the background there, Chris Davies and Elite Cassie side by side on the run up towards Remus. Trying to catch on board here with the menu navigation failing us once again. Now we can see that he's managed to forge his way up towards 6th place for Elite Cassie. See in the background there, Gecko at the inside on Davies. This could be an exciting one. We're going to try and catch on board with the BMWs just out back of that fight. You see here, Davies dropping down to 8th. This has been a frustrating start to today's race. In the opening 3 minutes for Chris Davies, now down from 5th to 8th place. Meanwhile, up in front, you can see things are starting to crunch up for the Aston Martin. We're going to try and catch on board with Tyler Vermack, the man in the middle, as we quickly see out back there. Eurofighter getting side by side with Oatsy on the exit of turn 8. Meanwhile, right behind them, because he Dollar Up and Regent very nearly was there potentially contact between the BMW and the Ferrari. We see here for Eurofighter still defending position. The 35 brings out the yellow flags. And that's one, I believe, one of the newcomers. I think that not RSX Ryan in trouble. Yes, it is. Incident there down at turns 9 and 10. Watching here from the Plums' point of view. Now we're going to get back on board with Vermack as the one in the middle of this all. Back on board with Tyler Vermack. Caught firmly in the middle of it all. This is in that fight for second place. Trying to find his way up the inside. You can make clear line of sight there with the race lead. White Doctor now escaping away from Big Green Man by upwards of 2 seconds coming up on as the exit of turn 7 and 8 looms in towards sector 3. Vermack trying absolutely everything here, giving him the light. He is not too pleased with having that Mustang right over his nose. He needs to get clear of the scene here with that Aston Martin in close pursuit. Down towards turn 9 we go. Then turn 10, a slide there for the 42. This could give the 89 the opportunity he needs to try and challenge, but going up the inside at Niki Lauda curve is no easy feat here. What will be the going rates for the 89? He holds to the racing line, still stuck in behind the 42. The 42 taking a slightly shallower line means he'll have less momentum to carry, and that gives the 89 the rise he needs. But this is still going to prove to be quite an interesting one as on the exit of turn 2. Yes, he's up on the inside of turn 2, but he'll be to the outside at turn 3. This still leaves the door open for the 42 to leap up the inside, and that he does. Big Green Man defending, and it's contact between himself and the 89. Tyler Vermack forced all the way out wide at Remus, and that gives the opportunity up now to get side by side with the Plums in the Aston Martin. Still fending for second place here. That Aston Martin has got into the thick of it almost immediately, and up the inside goes the Aston. You can see here from the third-person cameras just how close that move was. Sadly to no avail for Plums in the 960, but what a move it was attempted. Out through Rauch we go then, turn 6 into turn 7. The Aston Martin still looming just under the wing of the Mustang of Tyler Vermack. A brilliant fight here on the podium. Meanwhile, White Doctor has escaped from the scene here by 3.3 seconds. You can see his BMW just narrowly leaving sight on the crest in towards turn 9 and 10. Meanwhile, out back, we can see progress by the 420 up a significant wad of the field now, but still some gap between himself and the remainder of the grid. Vermack still caught in a very uncomfortable spot here. I think having the worst of it still is the Plums. Yes, he's back up to the podium, but now he has got a very unhappy Mustang right on his rear bumper. Taking a look here for the number 42. This is from Big Green Man's point of view, chasing the Aston Martin. It is a rare sight indeed to see the Ford outpaced by anything, let alone the V8 Vantage. One of the most average cars in terms of straight line speed. Now we must consider he is picking up a little bit of residual slipstream off of the leading Mustang in this podium fight up in second place. That's Tyler Vermack. Meanwhile, out back, we do have a very close fight here going on between 4th and 5th place. Let's see if we can catch on board with them here. It's Indian Goat versus Elite Cassie. A Ferrari civil war going on for the fight of 4th place. Sorry, 5th. Side by side up the inside, there goes Elite Cassie. A little bit of bumping there. I was trying to say banging between these two. The 98 up the inside. Regent says he's just going to send it and run out of fuel, so it is a bit of a suicide pact for the 420. Godspeed then to that Ferrari. As we're seeing here, these two Ferraris rip each other apart on the run out through Rauch, in through turn 7, up towards turn 8 we go. Lee Cassie getting his elbows out up towards the top 5. Looking further down the line here as we get on towards the end of the opening 10 minutes of this race. Things looking rather interesting from throughout the field, but we could still see incredibly close fighting here as things come back up to a head in the fight between Vermaak and Plums. We're back on board with the Mustang. In towards turn one we go. The Aston Martin looking around the outside. He'll hold short of it for a later apex through turn one. That means the Aston Martin has got the run. You can see he's getting closer and closer and closer. The Aston is catching the Mustang in an incredibly rare sight. The V8 Vantage is going side by side. Out through turn two. He'll be to the outside. Vermaak's got the defensive upper hand, but what can the Aston Martin do in the face of it all? It's a switchback by the 960. What a move by the Plums. Absolutely unbelievable. Get a look at this on the replays here. That was sensational. Textbook example. Switches him back there. What a move. Capitalized on a shaky defense by Vermaak. Now he finds himself still technically in the consideration of a fight for second. Moreover, now looking at a fight to defend for third place. His fellow Mustang, the big green man in the 42, now pressuring from behind. Bear in mind, all of this pushing and shoving amongst the podium sitters has kicked the doors open for the arrival of those twin Ferraris. Elite Cassie and Indian Goat, those two scrapping for the top five. We can see here, creeping up on the rear bumper. That's the 42, looking up the inside in the fight for third place. It could very nearly be contact and so narrowly avoided between the 42 and the 89. Unbelievable. Out through turn 10, it's claustrophobically tight between the two Fords, and it has now given the arrival up to Ferrari. Elite Cassie joins the fray there from behind in fifth place. Tyler Vermaak still defending from Big Green Man. Look over the rear view here, just how crowded it's getting at the back of the podium. An explosive opening 10 minutes, and I think this can go a hell of a lot further in the next 35. What has been a brilliant start by many. We can see here Elite Cassie again getting his elbows out, looking to push up the inside there. He's leaving the message very loud and clear to his contemporaries. If you keep leaving the gap open, I'm going to be there. And that's evidently what's gotten to the 42. He lost a lot of momentum out through Remus. He's now forced onto the defense of fourth place. Bear in mind for Vermaak, he still has to consider defensive options for third. Even if Cassie can clear, his next target will be his 89. So you see here for Eurofighter, just briefly in a fight inside of the top 15. But now we're on board with the fight of fourth place, on with Big Green Man. And where you thought things were crowded behind Vermaak, get a look here. That's two Ferraris practically staring up the exhaust system of that 42. Ironic, given that the exhausts are out to the side. Ferrari, though, is really packing on the pressure now, and it's fantastic hustle we've seen in the opening 10 minutes, albeit a little bit brazen at times there by Elite Cassie. It's this kind of driving style that is netting in positions. You don't get by on being friendly alone on a grid like this. You've got to get your teeth out. Out through turn one. That Ferrari still in close pursuit of Ford, a manufacturer that for all intents and purposes has dominated the meta for GT3. It is quite a delight here to see not only one but two manufacturers giving them grief. Aston Martin, who recently cleared out from Tyler Vermaak, now up to second place. You can see there Plum's new driver on the grid, quickly to become legendary from his performance right off the bat. That was one hell of an opening drive, and that's the opening 10 minutes. We still have 33, just under 34 left to go and left to play with. Big Green Man still getting pressured there by the Ferraris. A little bit of rotation in through Schlossgold, quickly corrected. Out through turn 5, into turn 6. We'll cut away from these three for just a moment. We see Nardo side by side with RSX Ryan. This is on the run in towards Schlossgold corner. Who will have the upper hand here? Defensively, it's going to be RSX Ryan. He's at the inside. He's going to make Nardo run the long way around, but carrying more momentum for the exit of turn 4 at Schlossgold in towards turn 5. Nardo could put a bit of a counter attack back on, but he's just too far away, too early onto the brakes for the 999. A 35 takes up the helm of 15th place. Bear in mind for RSX Ryan, he started in towards that top 10. Things have not been super swimming for him after his incident down here on the run in towards turns 9 and 10. We also saw Eurofighter get up to 16th place there as Nardo drops down to 17th. For the Plums, he is now getting extra pressure from the Mustang. Looking up the inside, Tyler Vermaak could be sizing up a charge for second place. We'll stay on board here in what is the fight of second place. A signing that has come so far out of left field. Sadly, we don't have graphics available for the 960, but we'll quickly rectify that when we get to Silverstone. Of course, the home ground of the Aston Martin Formula 1 team for the next round coming up, round 9. This has been a sensational opening drive by the number 960. Still plenty left to play with. You can see Tyler Vermaak practically pushing the Aston out through to Rauch. Now around the outside. What can the Mustang plan to do here on the run in towards turns 7 and 8? This could be quite lofty from the 89. What is the method behind the madness? He tucks back in. Super aggressive exit of turn 7. Out through turn 8 we go. Looking here with the Aston Martin of the Plums in towards turn 9. And you can see now from the Aston Martin's point of view, it's starting to bunch up behind him. He's got 2 Mustangs and 2 Ferraris for company. Running out wide, though, there's Elite Cassie out through turn 10. That's definitely trimmed away a bit of time. That could be opening up the gaps here for Indian Goat to come and have an attack for the top 5. You can see he is looking for it, but I think Believe just backed out of it. No one driver would dare to make such a move up through turn 1. You've seen before, that does end rather nasty. 2 Mustangs now pressuring quite a lot here. Not only each other, but the Aston Martin up in front. You can see looking for the inside. Big Green Man's trying to get inside Tyler Vermaak's head. Meanwhile, for White Doctor, I mean, this is Sunday driving for him. And as early as a Wednesday, what a treat then for the 54. He leads the charge by 7 whole seconds, whilst the remainder of the podium rip each other apart here at the Red Bull Ring. In towards Schlossgold we go at turn 4. Issue there for the number 88 car. Temporary white flag in sector 1. Watching with this incredibly exciting fight going on here on the podium. The Aston Martin now opening up a little bit of a gap over the Mustangs, closer to each other than they are to it. In towards turn 9 and 10 we go. Looking around the grid to see where our nearby fights may be coming from. Funky Fish and Twiglet could be getting into arms in a moment's time. The 2 BMWs head-to-head, the 96 and the 982. Progress report from Regent in the 420 now up to the top 10, but as we know already, it is on a bit of a cannonball run for the 420 out through turn 1. As I say that, there's trouble. You can see to the right-hand side, there's the Ferrari. This has now upgraded them to the fight of 12th place on Twiglet v Funky Fish. The 2 BMWs head-to-head on the run up towards turn 2. Just in front of them there, Otzi, who recently saw the promotion. Up towards turn 3 we go, into 11th place. I'm sorry, I'm trying very hard not to composure. For some context in the Twitch chat, I've just received a delightful message there from Regent, perhaps acutely aware of the fact that I was talking about him. I'm not of liberty to say what he said, but it was something. It was definitely something. Taking a look then around the field, Indian Goat and Elite Cassie back into proper fighting here. 0.1 of a second between the 2 Ferraris on the exit of turn 9 in towards turn 10. This is currently in the stead of that fight for the last of the top 5 positions. We'll quickly stay on board with the Ferrari then of Indian Goat. You can see that fight going on the podium just up in front. The 2 Mustangs versus the solitary Aston Martin. These 2 scrapping for what remains of the top 5. A bit of a dicey run on the exit of Remus there has given a bit of a gap over to the number 9. Indian Goat may have a chance here in the slipstream to challenge up the inside on the run out towards Schlossgold. Meanwhile, you can see up in front, Vermaak still incredibly close. Big Green Man trailing from behind. You can see holding the inside line there, Elite Cassie. Forces Indian Goat way out wide. A little bit of gravel on the left-hand side. That does kill off his chances right now for that fight of 5th place. We'll catch on with these 2 in due course. So you see there the 98 continuing to open the taps up after that recent move in through turn 4. Now up to 0.8 of a second. I was about to see, by looks of it here, a fight towards the back of the top 10, a war amongst the Nissans, the 44 versus the number 6, Grizz v Otzi. Also, behind them as well, very close stuff going on here with Regent, now fighting with Twiglet and Funky Fish. 2 BMWs we saw from beforehand. Now catching back up almost immediately. So as we're getting in towards the halfway mark of the race, let's have a little look at where things stand so far. White Doctor in the lead, Plums second with Vermac very close behind in third place. Big Green Man in fourth, now off by some distance. Elite Cassie in fifth, very close behind there. Indian Goat in sixth. HSR Gecko in seventh place ahead of Chris Davies in eighth. Shawnee Mac in ninth place with Grizz in 10th. Otzi in 11th, Funky Fish in 12th. We're about to see a fight here. What is actually going on for 13th place, 12 by proxy, but now as it started to spread out, Twiglet could be vulnerable from 13th place to Regent in 14th on our screens at the moment. Up the inside goes the 420, and it could be up to 13th right off the bat here through Remus, but the BMW will have better momentum on exit. So what makes it such a coin toss here as to whether or not one can hold the inside line and carry it all the way down this back straight in towards turn 4 at Schlossgold. Regent still up the inside. He's got his chances now for 13th place. Up the inside he goes. And on the exit of Schlossgold corner at turn 14, he looks to have solidified his efforts there up to 13th place. Down to 14th, then goes GTR Twiglet. RSX Ryan in 15th, Eurofighter in 16th, Nardo 17th, and Dollar Up in 18th. We'll cut away just briefly on the fight of 13th to catch back on board with the fight going on at hand here. Tyler Vermac now up to second as we see trouble down the line for the Plums. He drops down to 6th place in the time we were covering the fight going on for 13th. It's been trouble for the 960. The Aston Martin now down to 6th place. Vermac to second, Big Green Man to third, Elite Cassie to 4th, and Indian Goat to 5th. The 28 is in the pits. That's Chris Davies potentially in. Oh, that's damage, as a matter of fact. So there's the explanation as to what's going on for him there. Early doors into the pit lane on what a race is with no mandatory pit stops at all. This had to have been for damage. 28 is in. Indian Goat still very close here to Elite Cassie. Still sizing up his chances. It's a switchback paradise here in the Red Bull Ring, so one has to play their chances very close to the chest if they want to make up moves. It's where driving finesse really comes into its own. So imminent trouble for two drivers on the grid there right off the bat, Chris Davies and the Plums. I'm very curious to see what's gone on for the number 960. Currently tucked in behind those two Ferraris by 3.1 seconds at the last interval. Big Green Man now 1.1 seconds at the last interval away from Tyler Vermac. You can see that gap could be opening up just a little bit more here. Meanwhile, it is still a swimmingly good performance so far for White Doctor. For those curious then, as to what's recently been said there by Regent, he's on about you commentators and your curses. Well, I mean, you do want me to cover Formula 1. I think you have to get used to that, really, at this point. If you think it's bad here in GT3, believe me when I say it is tenfold worse for Formula 1. If I say something very good about a driver, you've now got a 50-50 chance of seeing that driver in the Tech Pros with both of the wheels off. 23 minutes left to go. What has been an explosive first half. We've seen most recent drama inside of that top 10, with the Plums now dropping 4 positions after an incident. This is not to detract from what a sensational start to his VSR career has been so far for that 960 Aston Martin. You see here a little bit of a wobble on the exit of turn 8 for Elite Cassie. That does allow Indian Goat up the inside in the fight for 4th place. Watching here in towards turn 9 and 10. Easy does it for the number 9. The number 98 looking for an immediate challenge in towards turn 10. Let's see if we can stay on board with these two on the exit of turn 10, on board with the twin Ferraris in today's race. Now most recently promoted to 4th, on board with Indian Goat. In towards turn 1 we go. See the super late braking there by the 98. Elite Cassie has got that braking zone in towards Remus. Absolutely nailed. There is that consideration also for the fight going on for the number 982 Funky Fish, still fending for position at this time. We'll be looking on board with them not far from now. We're still watching in that fight of 4th place, Indian Goat versus Elite Cassie. Previously the fight of the top 5, but after the recent misfortunes for the 960 of the Plums, now down to 6th place, only off of these two by about 3.2 seconds. They've been upgraded onto this fight inside of the top 5. Out through turn 8 we go. This was the very same area Indian Goat was able to get the leg up over the 98. You see just how close things still are between the two Ferraris. Now on the exit of turn 9, on the run in towards turn 10. This was an area of the track we saw quite a bit of upset earlier on in today's race for the number 98. Elite Cassie did run massively out wide on the exit of Red Bull Mobile in towards Nicky Lauda curve at turn 1. You can see just how much later he gets onto the brakes. This is what gives him a good 50% of that distance on any driver. Not only is it good mastery of the vehicle that we've seen forged in this series over the course of nearly 3 seasons in operation for Elite Cassie since his arrival in Season 7 in Bathurst. Now we see him launch up the inside, super late on the brakes, but again, here at Remus, it's a losing gambit to launch up the inside. Again, it's a coin toss because of the way the corner is shaped. It does go just uphill on the exit, meaning you have to be very, very certain that you can hold it all the way up towards turn 4 here. That case, right now, not on the side of Elite Cassie. We'll catch on with these two in due course. We're going to take a look, though, down here in the fight with the 982 Regent up the inside. And that is what a look up the inside looks like here at turn 3. You have to be convicted that, that you'll be up the inside. You'll be alongside with your opponent is what I'm trying to get at there. And that you're steadfast in your convictions. You can hold on to position just as you exit. If you get front to rear, it is effectively their position still to have, as they'll have that outside line, more momentum to play with. They can get on the throttle much earlier than you can when you've got a much sharper angle to play with. It's effectively an open hairpin right is what we're looking at there. Or even closer to more an acute right at turn 3. It's a very unique corner in the world of motor racing. Oh, that's trouble there for VSR Funky Fish. Slides out wide, makes contact with the wall. Let's get a look at that on the replays for those who just missed it there. On the exit of turn 8, things got a bit squirrely for the leading of those two BMWs. It's through turn 7 into turn 8, and that ended up sort of snaking the back end around, and a bit of a bump with the wall. Nothing too major by looks of it there. Funky Fish still going, but now down to 13th place. You see here, Otzi v Grizz, now upgraded to a fight inside of the top 10, previously for the last of those top 10 positions, but because of the incident there for the 28, who I'm told is out on track at this time, having repaired his vehicle, and has now upgraded these two into a top 10 fight of their very own. You can see approaching at rapid speed here, looks to be the number 420, but as I say that, as we catch back on board with the 420, he actually loses position out to Twiglet. Super, super close. The number 88 in trouble there along the pit straight. That's dollar up, so I'm told. Back on board with Regent. Fighting a war on all fronts here. Meanwhile, the 89 and the 42 still fighting for position. The number 9 and the number 98 right behind them. $18 minutes left to go in this race, and it's been actually quite a breeze here at the Red Bull Ring. Normally, these races do tend to start dragging a little bit in the second half, where strategy plays a heavy hand. This is the real magic behind those 45-minute races that we've seen throughout VSR in Season 10. It does give us this delightful little combination where the drivers can just stay flat out the entire race, not have to worry too much about tyre conservation or fuel strategy. And it does give us this pure form of racing. We see side-by-side action, then around the outside into Niki Lauda, curves super late on the brakes, nearly runs himself out of ground, and as a matter of fact does. And that's what allows the number 96 to get back up to 11th. This is incredibly close here between Regent and Twiglet. Can there be the attack for the inside? We're still on board with the 420. Later onto the brakes, you can see the BMW holding its nerve there, late on the brakes itself. And good defense in through Remus. Looking up into that top 5, though, we still have 2 ongoing fights here right alongside one another in tandem. 2 Fords, 2 Ferraris, 2 positions up for grabs. The 89, Tyler Vermack, currently defending in second place from Big Green Man in third. Then behind them, Indian Goat, having recently got up to 4th ahead of Elite Cassie, now defending for position. In the last lap there of the 4, fastest among them was the 98 right at the very back of this 4-car train towards the back of the top 5. That's Elite Cassie in the number 98 Ferrari. Bear in mind, if a larger effort cannot be made here from the 2 Fords to break away from the Ferraris, they might find their battles starting to blend into one another, and then we find ourselves at a war of 4 fronts, all fending for second place. We see here for the Plums, it's been a little bit of a down and out change of things after his incident, whatever it may have been. Sadly, we missed it as we were covering the fight for 13th place. The Plums dropped from what looked to be a confident fight in second down towards 6th place. Now 4.2 seconds, bleeding time away from the 2 Ferraris. His chances of a top 5 right now are starting to bleed away. He'll be relying on an incident up in front of him between those 2 fights to give him any kind of chance right now as we loom upon the final 15 minutes of racing. For White Doctor, I mean, this is looking to be one to upset what has been a surprisingly well-kept balance of things throughout today's race. Taking a look at it, those previous wins has had it since round 3 in Belgium, where it's gone between 2 drivers, White Doctor and Tyler Vermack, and it's gone in a very somewhat surprising pattern there. Very satisfying to look at between those 2 since the end of round 3. The pattern would have dictated on that alone that it would have been Tyler Vermack looking to upset that balance on 2 consecutive race wins this season. Then it's going to be White Doctor going back to back. But that's if he can hold his nerve in the next 14 minutes. So far, it's been steely determination by the 54 on the charge for his championship endeavours. We're going to get a look on behind as we see side-by-side action here for the 2 Fords. Big Green Man had his chances around the outside, was cut off for momentum. Vermack holds the inside then and stays in control of second place. Now, this is creating somewhat of the doomsday scenario that they have been trying to avoid. Those 2 Fords are bleeding time away to the 2 Ferraris right behind them. So you see here, Indian Goat is now only 0.8 of a second away from Big Green Man. We'll stay on board with the one in the middle of this all, still fighting for second place against his fellow Ford, the 89 of Tyler Vermack, but now with 2 ample targets to keep well distanced from. In the grand scheme of things, this is that fight for second place from all 3 of the drivers lining up now behind Tyler Vermack. Looking at the run in towards Niki Lauda curve from the driver's point of view, you can see just how sharp that line has to be to get the most out of that corner. Super easy to clip the inside or outside curbs and run yourself into trouble, such was the case earlier on for the 420 of Regent. As I say that, even more issues, this time on the exit of Rauch in towards turns 7 and 8. I think this might actually be that fuel concern he was talking about earlier. And yes, I've just been given word there by Regent. The engine on that 296 is gone, starved of fuel, and the 420 is out. A bittersweet feeling. He had a great 30 minutes of racing here at the Red Bull Ring, but it's all come to an end there on a slight fuel miscalculation. The 420 is out of round 8. A series of highs and lows. But a good thing to take away from today is that he's got the pace to keep himself very much so in the fight, even in spite of incidents on and as it would take him there off the track. You can see just over to the left-hand side, eclipsed by the map, but still watching on. And actually, I'm rather curious to see, and I'm hoping he's able to stay on track just long enough for us to maybe catch on with his point of view and actually see a very unique place to watch the race from. Well, let's see. Still watching on with Big Green Man in that fight for second place. Right behind him, getting ever closer, is Indian Goat and Elite Cassie. It's a drive-through penalty for the 98. Elite Cassie runs into trouble here with the stewards and is now going to drop away from that top 5 fight when he serves his pit lane drive-through penalty. Well, we've seen the 98 hasn't been the most friendly of customers to the track limits throughout today's race. We saw a few runoffs, namely down at turn 10 for the 98, and we saw that was exactly the place he just picked up that drive-through penalty. Still watching here with Big Green Man and Indian Goat and Tyler Vermack. Now what comprises the remaining 3 of what could be the 3-way fight for second place. We see Elite Cassie now just tucked in behind that Ferrari. Now, I want to go and quickly catch on board here with a rather unique perspective of all of this. Getting on board with the 420. This is on board with Regent. You can see, there's Chris Davies. And here comes that 4-way fight that we've been looking on with. This is in that fight for second place. So coming out through turn 7. We're actually on the exit of turn 8 here. And there you can see them. What a fantastic view that comes to be. Oh, not for nothing. He's got a great view from that now seemingly abandoned Ferrari. The 420 out of fuel here in the Red Bull Ring. On board with Vermack, leading that fight for second place, but he's got more and more competition piling at his rear, with Indian Goat joining the fray. Moreover, Big Green Man could be vying his chances up and around the outside at the Niki Lauda curve down at turn 1. What is the current method here for the 42? He holds on to it. Has a decent exit of turn 1. He'll have the run up towards turn 2 and turn 3. He's in the slipstream. Vermack pulling away just ever so slightly. The Ferrari there just behind is Indian Goat, looking to get a slice of the podium pie. In towards turn 3 we go at Remus. Up the inside goes the 42. The 89 holds around the outside. That invites the number 9 in. Now getting side by side with the 42. This could be rather exciting indeed. Let's see if we can catch on board with Big Green Man. This is in the fight now for third place. Looking up the inside, then tucks away from it back onto the racing line is Indian Goat with Ferrari. Still up in the fight of second overall. Out through Rauch in towards turn 7 and 8. You'll actually see from the driver's point of view, just off in the distance, there, to your left-hand side, there's the 420. Don't let that distract you. Indian Goat is looking for his chances in the same area of the track that he caught up Elite Cassie. It could be 2 for 1 here, but backs out of it in towards turn 9. Let's see if we can catch on board with the Ferrari then in this fight. On with the number 9. This is some real David and Goliath stuff here. That V6 Ferrari up against 2 V8 Mustangs. The 98 has its drive-through cleared, only dropping down to 7th. Bear in mind that promotes Plums back up to the top 5. It promotes HSR Gecko to 6th place. The 88 in the pit lane as well. That's dollar up. The 420, I'm told now, has been towed to the pit lane, so he's been taken away from his viewing spot down at turn 8. Sadly, that means he'll miss out on this as things are looking to get very close amongst these 3 on the exit of Rauch in towards turn 7. Out through turn 8. 8 minutes left to go on this grid. Taking a look at where things stand so far. White Doctor in the lead, and as we're seeing here, the battle of the remainder of the podium. Tyler Vermack and Big Green Man second and third. We're on board with Indian Goat from 4th place on the track. The Plums now up to 5th, and HSR Gecko up to 6th. The drive-through penalty pushes Elite Cassie from the back of the top 5 down to 7th. JDM Shawnee Mack in 8th, with Grizz in 9th and Oatsy in 10th. Twiglet in 11th, Funky Fish in 12th, Eurofighter in 13th with RSX Ryan in 14th, Nardo in 15th, Chris Davies in 16th, Regent and Dollar Up both in the pit lane, DNFs for the 420 and the 88. As we see here, the two Mustangs broke away massively from Indian Goat. You can see very sharp on the inside line there, good defense by Vermack. But what that has invited is the Ferrari. They originally knocked down a peg through turn 1, straight back into the fight on the exit of turn 3. You have to hand it to Indian Goat here. Watching from the Ferrari's point of view, you can see how committed he has to be to being in the slipstream to the Mustangs, because the moment they break away fast. 5.4 litre naturally aspirated Coyote motor-based V8 engine. And that does give them some serious grunt when push comes to shove in the straightaways. Out through turn 7, good rotation there by the number 9. It gives him the run. Out through turn 8 we go, in the same area that he caught up Elite Cassie, and he very nearly caught up the first time around. Could it be the second time's the charm between him and the number 42? Up and around turn 9 goes the number 9. It's super close, still on the inside, the 42, but too late to have it. As I say that, he does get the run, so we are about to see potentially a blind suicide run in towards turn 1. I can barely watch. We watch between fingers on the run in towards turn 1. Holds on to it, the 42 of Big Green Man. A brilliant defense there. We thought that was in the bag for Indian Goat. The 42 says otherwise. Brilliant defense then by Big Green Man. We see there, that's the 420. So having got more fuel in the tank, Regent is actually back out on track. A considerable wad of laps down, but nonetheless out on track. Got to hand it to him there. There's quite the dedication to get the car back on the field and to see the checkered flag 5.5 minutes from now. Gotta hand it to Indian Goat here. He's not dropped away from those Mustangs. Could it be the same area of the track that he catches up before? He's got better rotation than the Mustangs. Gets a little nip there on the inside of the curb at turn 7. Then out through turn 8. He's using the curbs to rotate the car. He's being very, very clever here in that third sector. It's what's given him such a night and day difference in performance against the Mustangs. But caught up in the dirty air, it will be a fleeting moment for him if he cannot emerge ahead of the 42. He had a very good chance of it. A bit of an awkward run down through turn 10. Did give the rise back over to the 42 of Big Green Man. Ultimately solidified position by the time we hit Nicky Lauda curve here. Last lap just gone. And it stays in that order as we head in towards turn 1. This has got to be rather painful for Indian Goat. He knows the Ferrari lacks the straight line speed. It's very anemic compared to the Mustang in terms of its engine performance. It makes up for that with almost unparalleled maneuverability. But on a track that's predominantly straight, it's quite the mystery indeed how both Ford and seemingly by that metric as well Aston Martin, who had phenomenal pace in the hands of Plums earlier on, have both been shown up by BMW. The jack of all trades here. We know BMW has solid straight line speed. Now not enough to match Ford pound for pound, but it is a serious competitor. In terms of straight line speed and data we were able to draw up out of the NLRL Sunday League's visit to the Autodromo Nazionale di Monza, we're better to get a better showcase of straight line speed. We saw that Ford came up a single mile an hour, I should say, faster. And as for Ferrari, well, that's a different conversation entirely. They were actually showing decent signs of improvement. Originally one of the class slowest. But after recent improvements to setup by drivers such as George Todd, we saw a notable improvement in Ferrari's metrics. They're up towards 173, 174 miles an hour at the very top end. Now, they won't be seeing that here at the Red Bull Ring. The aero on these cars has not been dialed in to be low enough. It's not been that what would be the best word for it? Technically, they all are aerodynamic, are they not? It's a case where the aero's not been dialed in to make the car as fast as possible, as there is still the heavy consideration, especially in that sector 2 and 3 of the corners. See up the inside there, getting around lap traffic. It's contact between Indian Goat and Nardo in the 999 there. A bump on the newcomer McLaren in 16th place. That does actually give Regent the opportunity, but by the looks of it there, and we'll wait to see if it updates, he is up ahead of Nardo, but again, a lap down. Very bizarre stuff then. We look here with Elite Cassie, 5.7 seconds from HSR Gecko. Is the chance there for him to fight for 6th place? With only 2 minutes left to go, it's slim indeed. Looking around the track for where the nearest fights could be coming from. Right now, so close yet so far away. It could be once again in the hands of the 2 Mustangs to see us through to the final battle of today's race. We can see they're not too far away from Indian Goat. The concertina effect could not come any later here. The question is, will it? So we're heading into the penultimate lap of this race. There'll be one more lap coming up from the 54, the race leader by some metric as well. It has been absolute domination by the 54 of White Doctor. Fighting, though, tooth and nail for the remaining positions of the podium for Mac and Big Green Man with the Ford Motor Company. Not too far away at all is Indian Goat, and it's a drive-through penalty for Big Green Man. So this is fantastic news for the Ferrari of Indian Goat. He'll be moving up to 3rd place with very little difficulty if he can just hold his nerve for one more lap. He's been an absolute trooper throughout this race. I'd say he's definitely in the bookings for driver of the day. He's been fighting here with some serious heavy hitters and newcomers to the field. And he's looking on the advent here of an arrival to the podium. You can see Big Green Man lets him through. Flies the white flag then. And this is also good news for the Plums. He'll be moving up to 4th place. So some reconciliation, albeit he would like to have been still in the fight for the race lead. Moreover, to be in that fight for 2nd, he'll have to settle at this time by looks of it for 4th. Well, we're heading on to the final lap in a moment's time. We'll be catching on with the 54 towards the end of that, as White Doctor is not too far from the checkered flag here.
Okay, the leader is on the final lap now. Give it all you can.
Still on with Indian Goat, 0.8 of a second away from Tyler Vermack. Now, are the chances there for these two to clash heads before the end of the race? He's in the slipstream range, in the very latter end of it, I should mind as well. Big Green Man into the pits, Plums up to 4th. It's damage mitigation for Tyler Vermack. That gap will continue to open between himself and White Doctor, up from what is currently 17 points in the championship standings as we head in to Silverstone next round. But with strategy creeping back in with one mandatory pit stop at round 9, things are looking to potentially swing back in favour for the 89. Ultimately, the pattern will go away from what has been mutually exchanged race wins here between these two. They've been going tit for tat since round 3 for race wins, but it looks to go double on the trot not far from now. We'll catch on board with the 54, making his way out through Ralch in towards turn 7 and 8. Let's get on board with the 54 of White Doctor, who's been off by his lonesome for the longest time, and actually that's the first we've seen of it, of any kind of major incident for the 54. And even then, relatively speaking, rather minor in this race today. Making his way down through turn 9 on the run in towards turn 10. Here on the final lap of racing here, 30 laps in all have been had here at round 8 of the championship. But seeing the checkered flag for 2 race wins on the trot, White Doctor wins in Austria. Brilliant, brilliant stuff indeed there by White Doctor. 2 on the trot, disrupts the pattern he and Vermack have held since round 3 of the championship, and continues to open his newfound lead here in Season 10. Looking further around the field then. Tyler Vermack 2nd in this race. Indian Goat 3rd with the Plums back into the top 5 after an incident earlier on in the race. You've got to hand it to him here for what has been a debut. He has not wasted any time in pressing us. And the 960 we hope to see again in Silverstone. That was definitely quite something. Through thick and thin, still in the top 5. A great resolve. And same story as well for HSR Gecko. Now finding his way to the top 5. We'll wait to see the final result of everything in a moment's time. As we can see, the big green man. Oh, hang on a tick. Is that fuel failure for big green man? Is that what we're seeing here? Oh my goodness. Am I seeing things correctly here? Or is the 42... after having taken that drive-through penalty, is he out of fuel? I think it very well may be the case. That's the second time today that a car has run out of fuel. We'll see, though. He is limping the car down towards the line. Now, he is on a downhill run here. If he's got no engine power, he might just have enough momentum and gravity might be able to do the rest of the work. This is the most bizarre ending to a race I think we've seen in some time. Can Big Green Man do it? He's effectively driving a $550,000 soapbox on his way through turn 10. Oh, I don't know. It does flatten out very much here on the exit of turn 10. Someone's got to help him. And I don't think anyone can. We just saw there. That was the 999. Nardo across the line. I don't think he can find enough momentum on his way. He's crawling there. I mean, had he any mind about it, and were we in the real world, he would have hopped out of the Mustang and pushed it to that checkered flag. But he might just make it. He might just make it. We'll see here, though, for the 42. Oh, my word. He's going to do it. He's actually going to do it. So it's definitely been a fuel failure, fuel system failure for Big Green Man, but he'll finish this race rolling down to the line to 13th. There's your final result. White Doctor wins in Austria on the first VSR race of 2026 here in round 8 of season 10. Tyler Vermack, second place, Indian Goat third, and an easy nominee for driver of the day for his valiant performances there inside the top 5. The Plums on debut sees a series of highs and lows, but finishes this in 4th, a solid points finish for the 960 on his first ever race here. HSR Gecko, same story, into the top 5 in the number 40 BMW. Elite Cassie in 6th place, Shawnee Mac 7th, Grizz 8th, Oatsy 9th, and Twiglet in top 10. Funky Fish in 11th, Eurofighter 12th. We just saw there one of the most bizarre race finishes for Big Green Man, rolling to the line with no engine power to 13th. RSX Ryan 14th, Chris Davies 15th, Nardo 16th, and Regent 17th. Dollar Up and Night Owl, 2 DNFs here in this race. They're 18th and 19th by proxy. Well, that was certainly something, folks. What a way to get back into Season 10 of VSR Phoenix. Definitely a bizarre one indeed. Red Bull Ring does not disappoint and gave us plenty of battles to talk about there. And I've got to hand it, it's definitely one of the most bizarre finishes to a race I think I've ever seen for any driver. But you've got to hand it to Big Green Man, where the engine wouldn't give any more power. He was able to make do. I managed to roll that car. I think had he beat anywhere else in the world, that would have been a real struggle. I mean, Lord forbid he managed to try and do that at Laguna Seca, where you're going a little bit uphill towards the line. Oh, I couldn't imagine that. I think it's better to happen here than it is to happen anywhere else. That's a lesson learned, though. Fuel the car up for the 45-minute races. We've seen 2 drivers caught out by that incident. That's all from us here on TRTN. Our next broadcast, I think having a look at our calendar here, is going to be the HCCL Multi-Class Endurance. Not Multi-Class Endurance, sorry, Multi-Class Championship. So used to saying Endurance. Multi-Class Championship, their second round coming up. And Watkins Glen, that's going to be an exciting one. For those of you joining us for just VSR Phoenix's coverage, you'll be seeing us same time next week for round 9 at our favourite circuit, the Grand Prix Circuit Silverstone. That's all from us here on TRTN. Have a wonderful rest of your evening. Take care and good night.